Hello everybody, I have a really exciting deck to show you. I'm really excited for this one. This is the Terra Volatile Heavy Edition by Credo Quia Absurdium. Probably butchered that. It is a Latin name, meaning, I believe, because it is absurd. So I'm really excited to get into this deck. I've been following this deck on Instagram for a hot minute. I love the art. The entire company has artwork that is very much so my aesthetic, my style. I've been wanting to get a hold of this deck for a while. So this is their second and final printing of the Heavy Edition. So the Heavy Edition, from what I understand, has a different cardstock than their Classic Edition, which I currently have on pre-order because that's probably going to be my main working deck. Well, this is going to be my personal deck. So the two boxes is because this deck here, the main deck, has 92 cards in the deck itself. I'm going to get to that in a second. It also has 12 additional cards that you can use those cards to swap out. They're alternative cards basically. So they have 12 alternative cards that you can swap out depending on the artwork or the really kind of spirit of the card that you want to use. The expansion pack is a separate additional pack which has more alternative cards that you can basically customize this deck altogether. So it is a Rider-Waite Smith deck, but it does come with an additional suit. So like I said, it's 92 cards. However, if you decide, you can take out the 5th suit and just go with the original 78 cards. 48 cards, oh my gosh. But what's really exciting about the 5th suit in this one is that it actually makes sense. They put a lot of research into putting into this because it is the suit of vessels, and what it represents is aether, also known as quintessence or spirit. So if we want to go into like neo-pagan kind of circles, or hey, let's look at a pentacle. I can't remember which one's which. I do know that, again, we got fire, earth, air, and water, but usually the top point is spirit. So it's interesting that they do have an actual additional suit to represent that. I'm going to stop going on and we're just going to take a look at it. So we're going to start off with just comparing some cardstock and just giving you an idea how I feel about it. And then we're going to go through and flip through, and then I'm going to give my overall thoughts at the end. Again, we got right here. So you're holding in the hands Terra Volatile Tarot Deck by Credo Quia Absurdium. This unique set has a few alternative cards, so it allows you to build your own personal deck. In addition, the new suits included the vessels, the transfiguration of the classical elements aether, otherwise or also known as quintessence. I cannot speak today, I'm sorry. You can find the symbology, meanings, and interpretation at terravolatile.com, and then it has their other website, which they have like t-shirts and such. So it is a deck that is built off a lot of like a practice of alchemy. I don't know a whole lot about alchemy, but they do really go really deep on their website. I find it's very interesting that this doesn't come with a book or anything of the sort, and it seems because they are like slowly kind of updating the website with all the meanings, and when they do go into the description of the cards, they do really give a lot of insight there, and I really do deeply appreciate it. So we're going to open these up. Cardstock. So it's a pretty standard cardstock. It's not as glossy as the Rider-Waite Smith, but it does have a gloss on there. And again, I know that their Classic Edition, once ever it comes in, because they're reprinting it, is going to have a linen finish, if I'm not mistaken. This does not have a linen finish on it. We got the backs here. And I know one of the main reasons why they chose to stop printing the Heavy Edition is because the backs on the expansion pack doesn't fully match. It's going to be really hard to tell, but this one has like, it's a lot more, I wouldn't say darker, like this one's just not as it's a little faded, if that makes any sense. You're not really going to be able to tell when they're in the deck, honestly, but overall it is what it is. Cardstock's nice. Get this big old guy out here. It's huge. It is a hefty deck. It feels really nice in the hand. It's very smooth. I do like the quality so far. Again, compared to a Rider-Waite. I don't really want to bend these too much, but it is very nice. So I'm going to get just right into the flip through, and then I'm going to give you my opinions. So I'm going to place down here the main card, and then any alternatives I will place here. right, so now I'm going to go through the expansion pack, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the expansion pack here and the cards that it could replace in the main deck here. Okay, thoughts. So first of all, my deck's all screwed up now. Just so I could, again, show you guys what the expansion pack can replace in the deck. Because you really don't want to double up on cards unless you have like the Alley Man, which is just chaos in the best way. You do want to have a really balanced deck. So first off the bat, I find that the cards are really colorful, but also really dark. Like, you really have to come up close to see all the details here. And it doesn't help that with this gloss kind of material is that it's really hard to film, unfortunately. But yeah, look at the detail on that. You can really dig deep and pretty. Like, it's really, really cool. I think my biggest issue, which is not an issue at all, is being spoiled by choice. Because, like, an example is, I'm gonna see if I can find the Magician, but like the Alchemist is an alternative to Magician, and I want to use both, but I can't. So I'm not gonna say it's gonna force you to buy additional decks, but you almost would have to rotate out the cards that you want to use. This is a deck that you can't really use casually, I don't think. I think this is a deck that you would actually really want to build a relationship with, just because you would have to take the time to really feel out each individual card and kind of really, again, rotate out as you see fit. So I just went out of the way to find the actual death card here, because this is where I really find this deck really does shine. The death card is, I wouldn't say polarizing, but there's a lot of layers to death, right? And a lot of people will either make it really bad, or they'll make it really neutral, or they'll make it really positive. What I like about this is that it's offering all three. So one of the first things I do when I check a deck is I do check the death card, because it does kind of give a bit of an insight of how the rest of the deck is going to be handled. Because again, if it's going to be really soft and fluffy, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is going to show an idea of how the rest of the deck is going to go. If it's going to be neutral, good. If it's going to be really negative, then it might be an edgelord. But death, the one that comes with it, and the other two that comes with it, it just gives you the nice neutral Grim Reaper. Can't screw with that. But then we do have Rebirth, which they make it very clear on their website that they were inspired by the Swamp Thing, which is funny because it doesn't look like it would just be like a comic book reference, because it still has that really dark, almost like that really true gothic art that's on there. And then we have the Misery Collector. If you do go on their website, they do actually say that this is the Japanese words for Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and it actually does have the atomic bombs here. Like, this is a reference to war and the complete utter horrors and destruction of war. And it's funny because, again, if you go on the website, they kind of give you slight directions, and like, oh, if you want to swap out Death for Rebirth, you can, or you can do Misery Collector if it's really harsh, but you can. But I love that the fact that they included that, because they're not shying away from all the different levels of tarot, and they're going to give you that option, which for me is just, I can't get over it, honestly. It's phenomenal. And again, we do have just, and again, it's a very, I don't know how to explain it, where it's such a bright deck, but also so deep and fascinating. Again, this is just my style of art, which is really dark and deep, but also it's quite bright on the same side of it. And I did notice that the suits do have a little bit of a color theme there. So we got like the swords, which are like almost gray, and then we have the green for the pentacles. And then if we take a look at the wands, once I find them in here, they do have like a bit of a red tone to it. It's not really a good example, but like the cups are blue, and it appears that the vessels is like slightly like almost like a purple tone. It's really intelligently created. Like, it's really nice, guys. I'm a big fan overall. Again, my deck's all messed up. I don't care, because I'm gonna get right into using it. I've been wanting to get this video because I've wanted to kind of show everybody, but I've also wanted to just mess it up and go with it. I am probably going to take out the suit of vessels to start with, just because I would want to learn that entire suit to kind of integrate it. But I am really excited with how they did it. Again, they picked up on the numerology on it. It's going to be quite a bit. It's going to be another learning curve, really, at the end of the day. But it's all about kind of like building down, breaking down, rebirth, creating almost like monstrous, phenomenal things. And it really does kind of, it is the quintessence of spirit, really. And I love the deck. It's really nice. I'm just going to grab a handful of them, show you how it shuffles. It shuffles beautifully. And again, unfortunately, they're not coming out with this style of printing anymore, the heavier edition. So I'm very interested, once I get my classic in, how's it going to work. This deck is not cheap. I'm going to set the expectation right now. I believe I spent 100 euros, not Canadian, euros on this. I don't know if that includes shipping. Again, I'll put like little details here because I'm really bad at remembering how many things cost, especially where I got this quite a few weeks ago. And I ordered this like a couple months ago, so I can't quite remember. But I will pop it somewhere on the screen how much this cost me. Again, my only complaint, if I'm going to be spending that much in a deck, I would like an edge, but I don't think that's too bothersome considering we do have a white edge anyway. And then the backs, we do know that the expansion has a slightly different color there. Like, I don't know how much you can tell, but when they're mixed together, I'm not going to be able to tell anyway. So, but again, that goes to show their like commitment to quality when this is very slightly off, when they're just like, no, we're not going to sell it anymore because we're just going to go with the new printer to be able to create a deck that people want. And I know that they had some decks that had a few slight small spots in the back. They sold them at a discount. I chose the wait because I was going to spend 100 friggin' euros on it, and I was going to make sure I got the best deck possible. I'm obsessed. It's definitely, I say this about a lot of the decks that I have, but I think that I'm not lying when I say that this one's going to be one of my main working decks for sure. It's just there's a lot of cards in here. I'm going to take out 12 immediately just because they're going to be alternatives. And again, I'll probably take out the Vessel suit just until I get familiar with it, but there is a chance that that's going to land in my rotation. I can't really say much more. I would highly recommend anybody who is a fan of tarot, especially like an actual reading deck, because just scanning through these, I can pull so much out of this. I can pull so much, and they do go into more details on their website. Their reasonings for picking things, like everything is intentional. That's the craziest thing to me, is that there's no stone left unturned when it comes to this deck. They're very specific, and they'll go into why they chose this statue. They'll go into details of why they chose this horse. Like, they're so on the ball for this stuff, and it's really exciting for me. Alright, I yambled enough. Hope that was worth for you guys to look at. I'm obsessed.